assembly. We take the motor. That's it. The motor is in place and secured. We have 2 wires coming from the motor, and we have 2 wires coming from the controller. Reconnect the plugs carefully. This plug goes here, and that plug goes over there. Make sure to connect each plug to its corresponding socket carefully. Double check the connections to ensure everything is properly plugged in. That's it. And now we simply reconnect and securely attach the temperature sensor to the motor. Just like that. After installing the motor, we correctly connect the wires. We take the wire. Here is number 1. This is the first number. Connect the wires carefully. Take the next wire and make sure it is properly connected. Here is the number 2. As you can see, here is the number 2, right here. Take the next wire carefully. Here is 0. And here is 0. Using a screwdriver, make sure everything is securely tightened. Then take the wrench and ensure it is also properly tightened. This wire should be connected here with a cover. This plug with this plug. That's it. We close the cover, and we are completely done with the entire process. The motor is carefully assembled and completely ready for operation. This is now the power supply. For connecting the motor, connect the plug. Be sure not to mix up the connections, so that plus goes with plus and minus with minus. Connect the plug to the power source. After securely connecting the plug, ensure that it is only connected to the 220 volt socket. All done. We have connected everything and completely. Now the motor is absolutely ready for startup. We carefully tilt the handle, gently press the pre-start button, and after pressing down on the button, we slowly turn the throttle. How do we disconnect the motor? We don't disconnect it until we unplug it from the socket. Unplug from the socket, and only then do we actually disconnect the plug. Alright, we have disconnected the plug. Our next steps, we carefully move the mechanical lever with care, and then very gently remove the protective cover. After we remove the cover, right after the cover is removed, we have a plug right here that we need to disconnect. After carefully disconnecting the plug, the cover is free. We then gently remove it. So we will need 2 wrenches later on in the process. 110 wrench, 113 wrench, which I will demonstrate. Unscrew the nuts completely. Remove the nut mounting from the motor, for example. Unscrewed 1 nut, then another nut. On the opposite side, 1 nut, then another nut. We also unscrew them. We move on to the next stage. From the controller, we remove 3 wires going to the motor. This is the power supply. First, take a 10mm wrench, loosen the bolt, then take a screwdriver, unscrew it, select the wire, screw it back, take a pen and mark it. This is number 1. Mark the next one. This is our number 2. This one has no handle. This number is 0. When we have disconnected the wires, our next action is we have one plug that is connected to the motor, and we need to disconnect it carefully. Once it is disconnected, we then proceed to unplug it completely from the socket. Another plug, we also disconnect it. There, it's disconnected. And we have another plug that requires a screwdriver. This is the temperature sensor. We unscrew it, move the sensor aside. To avoid losing the bolt, we carefully and securely screw it back in. Let's disconnect all the wires. 1, that makes 2, 3. We are removing the motor. Done. The motor is disconnected. Done.